I hope you don't mind. I got my best friend here.
You're good. You're
Yeah,
good.
okay, good. I just thought, some people, they gotta ask. So how you been? When's the last time I saw you? It was like 2018 that.
Uh,
Or-
18. Yeah, we're at 4 years. It's been a while.
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to say I think you filled out a little bit since then, since the last time I saw you. You were a
Yeah,
little.
I was a little smaller. Yeah,
Yeah.
I train and I did weightlifting for a while, and then now I'm in CrossFit. So you need me to take him quickly? Yeah. Now I'm in CrossFit, so I train. I try to train a lot more. I actually worked for a supplement company.
Oh, look, I have a baby too.
Yep, this is my little guy.
Your
Um,
brother or your son?
this is my son. Yeah,
Oh wow, look at that.
yeah, he's my little baby boy. We had him in December,
That's
so
cool.
he's about 4 months old. But yeah, I train CrossFit now. I worked for a supplement company in here in Missouri for about 6 months. So I'm certified. I was a certified trainer, certified nutritionist, certified sports nutrition supplement specialist. So I learned all the ins and outs of just different types of weightlifting movements, nutrition side of things. So I love weightlifting. I love that side of it's kind of one of my hobbies. So
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, first of all, let's talk about so the movie we met on. I was a gaffer, but it's more about you because the movie was about you,
yeah.
and like I met you because I was on the publicity unit, and so yeah. Do you want to? I know you've told this story a lot, but I like the story, and that's why I asked you. So you could probably tell it much better than me, can you? So
So Breakthrough is based off a true film, off a true story, where me and two of my friends were out in the ice in Lake St. Louis, Missouri, on the lake that is named Lake St. Louis. It was in January, and one thing that happens in Missouri that doesn't happen very often is Belle, come here. I'm sorry.
it's okay. Hey, all my YouTube videos, Oscar's like in the background meowing, and then I'll like stop a conversation just to talk to him, and I'll come back. So don't worry, I get it. You're an
We
animal
have,
person. You let him on
yeah,
the couch too, don't you?
of course.
Like who does? I don't get along with people that don't let animals on the couch. So
Yeah, I got my other little, I know, buddy, I got.
Oscar, look, can you see the dog? It's a dog. Do you see? Oh, they don't see him all the time. He
This
goes
is
back
my
to fish on the TV though, but
this is my cockapoo Belle. So
yeah,
she's my wife's wedding present, and then our little boy. But so back to it. Breakthrough is based off a true story. Me and two of my friends were out on the ice in Lake St. Louis. It was in January. What's funny about Missouri is the lakes don't generally freeze over here. Usually we don't get a lot of snow. We get a lot of ice. We get a lot of freezing temperatures, but not cold enough to where that the lake is going to, freeze over. So we were on the middle school basketball team for our school, and we had a game. It was Martin Luther King weekend, so it was going to be a longer weekend. So we played, geez, we played like 32 games that eighth grade year. It was insane. Like
yeah,
we were just every weekend we were playing basketball. We were having a good time. It was crazy. So we were playing and it was a nail biter and we won. And to celebrate, we were going over to one of the boys' house. Their names were Josh and Josh. And so we went over there. We were just eating pizza, playing video games, talking, having fun, all that good stuff. So we got bored and we were wandering up to the lake. He lives about maybe a block and a half from the local like clubhouse. And so we went up there and we noticed that the lake had frozen over. And this is something that we never see before. Like,
yeah,
so we go out there and we go down to the dock and we do the best we can to like test it. We put our body weight on it. We're sliding our feet back and forth. We're like putting our hands in the dock and then jumping up and down, so in case it does give, we have our like arm strength to kind of get us out.
yeah,
We're just doing everything we can in our minds to give us the most safety, precaution, whatnot, stuff like that. And, so we're doing this stuff and I don't remember who got on first. I really don't. So I just remember us being on the ice. The three of us got on there, we were playing, and we took that photo. What's funny about that photo is that was actually the night before I fell through the ice. It wasn't the day of.
Okay, so you wait, guys. Just so in case anyone's wondering, I forgot to mention right off the bat, just to keep people listening, you had a near-death experience where you were dead for an hour,
Mhm.
and then you were under the ice for 15 minutes in the cold, and it was your lungs got filled too, right?
Yes. Oh, so we got done that night. We were having, see if I can get a little bit more light for you. That'll make it a little bit better. We got out of that. None of us fell through the ice. We went back to his house. We spent the night. It's the morning of January 19th, 2015, the day that the accident actually happened. So we went back out. The only difference is we brought one of the older boys' sisters.
Yeah.
We brought her with us, and we went back on the ice. What was different is the night before it was like 40 to 50 degrees. This day it was about 60 to 70 on January 19th. So the ice was melting. So we go out of there and we're playing again. We're having a good time. And I got a phone call from my mom. And a little backstory on me: I love sports growing up. I loved basketball. I loved playing all those different sports. It was something me and my dad were really close on. So my mom calls me and she's like, "Hey, when do I need to pick you up?" And I'm like, "I don't know." She's like, "Do you want to go to the Recplex today?" Which is like our local rec center. It's where I train a lot of my basketball stuff at. And I was like, "Whenever." Like, I really don't, is dad available? And, my mom goes, "I don't know. Let me call him." And I was like, "All right, whatever." She said, "I love you." I said, "I love you too." And 8 seconds later, all three of us fell to the ice. If you've seen the movie, you notice that the three of us are kind of like together in the film. That's a little bit not how it happened. Actually, one boy was closer to the dock and was able to self-rescue.
Okay. Yeah.
And then me and the other boy were actually 25 to 50 feet out, pushing each other up to stay afloat. The water was cold. It was about 30, 40
What
degrees.
happened with him, the other guy?
So he was able to self-rescue.
Okay.
So one boy is able to self-rescue, who's close to the dock.
Okay.
And then me and my other friend, we're out in the middle of the lake fighting for our lives. After the movie, after everything, after the accident, I should say, I was released from the hospital. I was home for a while. And that one of the Josh that was with me, he came over to my house and he spent the night. And everything was normal, but it got close to us. We were going to bed. And I remember that awkward silence moment. Like, there's an elephant in the room, but you just haven't addressed it. And he looked at me and he goes, "John, I was expecting you to come up, but you didn't." And that just really hit me because it kind of just put, honestly, flashbacks of that day to where we're fighting for our lives.
When did that happen? This night happened? The awkward silence?
It was about 2 to 3 months after the accident, after all the news media had stopped, after, everything had kind of calmed down. The news wasn't covering the story. The newspapers weren't in my face, reporters, all of that. It was really just kind of silent at that point. So going back to the actual story, I was pushing him up on ice just to stay afloat, just so that he could stay a little bit while longer, so the paramedics had an idea of where he was. By this time, hypothermia had set in. I had drowned. I was underwater for 15 minutes. Tommy Shine of the Winsbell Fire Department, he came in and found me, actually heard a voice from God and, told him to go 2 feet to the left. So he did. He found me. He pulled me up, and he rushed me to St. Joe's West Hospital, where I lay lifeless for about an hour. And then my mom came in, she prayed, and instantly I had a pulse. 16 days later from the time that I fell through the ice, I walked out completely healed. 40 days from the time I was in the water, I was released from all medical personnel. And that's kind of the rough summary of the movie Breakthrough.
So I've actually, okay, so how long were you there for the filming? Because I just met you that one day. I was just there that day doing publicity. Were you? You guys?
I was there for a week.
Okay.
So I was there for a week. I was there, I think, it's Sunday to Saturday, if I remember correctly.
Okay. I don't know, like did the I don't know how to ask this question. What was it like seeing a movie being made about you? And like, did you have a close relationship with the actor that played you, or?
Meeting Marcel, like I had a couple interactions with him, obviously. Us being around each other and, kind of just meeting for the first time.
Yeah.
I remember that for the first part, they actually brought us into a room and all the actors were there, and the original people, me, mom, and Jason were there, and we kind of met that first day, and it was fine. I mean, it was really cool. It was kind of weird because you don't know what to think. Like, you don't know how they're going to be. Give me 1 second while I kill her.
Do your thing, man.
Cool. Meeting Marcel and meeting all of them, it was really interesting because you kind of, I bet they did their research on us just like we did their research on them, on how they were, on how they acted. We saw some of the, I saw some of the shows that he had performed in. We obviously, Chrissy Metz is in This Is Us, which is a huge hit here in the States. Josh Lucas, who played my dad. I mean, I grew up watching all of his movies. So it was a really cool experience to get to hang out with them and finally meet them. Dennis Haysbert, the Allstate guy, huge guy here in the States.
So the day I was there doing the publicity unit, it was like the day there was like 30 actors on set, like a bunch of Winnipeg locals and the Allstate guy, Topher Grace. And like, it was a big day. It was like probably one of the most expensive days, and like Winnipeg's a small film town, but it was like, I was just like counting the actors and like doing like, okay, so and like doing the math. It was a huge day, like budget wise too. Plus, in a big church filled with people, and yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure, and it was a lot of fun. To answer your question, how does it feel like having a movie made about me? I remember when we first started this journey, and the movie was kind of brought to our attention. It was kind of just, it wasn't really just talk at that point. Like, we were signing contracts, we were signing deals, we were signing rights away, like all that, XYZ. And I remember Devon Franklin, the movie producer, he came up to me and he just he sat next to me, and I love Devon. He's such a genuine guy. And he just looked at me and he goes, "John, here's the deal. People are going to know who you are at your hometown, at your school, wherever you go. You're going to be a face while this is all happening." And I remember he just looked at me and he said, "John, I want you to remember 2 things." And I was like, "Okay." He goes, "I want you to remember to stay humble and stay hungry." And I was like, "What does that mean?" "Staying humble and remembering who you are. I'm just a kid from Missouri. I live at so-and-so address here in a small, well, not really a small town, but I live here in Troy, Missouri with my lovely wife and my kid. And I do my own thing." Staying hungry was the main thing that he wanted me to focus on, and remembering that God brought me this story. He put this in my life, and he can also take it away.
Yeah.
And also staying hungry for what he has for me, not getting too big headed, not letting all this get to me. And he put the right people in my life to keep me humble, to keep me, accountable. I love to kind of say that I'm a hometown kid. I always love to, help people and remember where I came from and the people that I grew up with, the people that impact my life now, my circle, my family. So to answer your question, how does it feel to have a movie about me? It is amazing, but I look at it more as a ministry opportunity rather than my own story, and yes, it's about me, but more importantly, it's about the people that it affects around the country, around the world. If my name can be used for that, then it's so much greater than, oh, this is just about John Smith falling through some ice. No, it's about what God did, his name getting the glory. I'm just kind of here along for the ride.
A lot of that stuff could be written off like, oh, voices in your head, schizophrenic, this, that. But I find the older I get, the more I believe there is something above us. And I think when I met you, I was very atheist, but I did watch the movie. What did your mom think of it, first of all? Because actually, I go off on tangents, but what I remember about your mom is like your real life mom, not the actress mom. She kept talking about Madea. She's a big fan of Tyler Perry, right?
My mom
kept going off, and I didn't honestly. I have no. My best friend's super into Tyler Perry. I have no idea. I didn't have no idea who he was. Like, I've never watched anything, but I just looked it up after. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's
My mom's crazy. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. My mom is flat out crazy. I love her. She loves Tyler Perry. She loves Medea. She's from the South. So she's that mouthy country girl, her way, just old school, what do you think of when you think of the country? And she just loved Tyler Perry. And obviously Devon knows Tyler Perry, firsthand.
yeah,
And so mom was just really big and, getting to meet her. And mom is that, like I said, she's that mouthy mama bear and she's going to do anything to protect her cubs. And so that was just the whole thing behind that. But my mom, she's something else. She's just crazy. And to answer your question, she loved the movie. Again, she has the same outlook on me as it's about ministry. It's about reaching people.
yeah,
Anything we can do to reach people. She loved it. And her testimony, I'm not like by any means plugging our book, but the book Breakthrough that mom wrote, her testimony is phenomenal. It talks about, her going through abuse in her first marriage, to putting her first son up for adoption, to having a full ride scholarship to Juilliard, or, the School of the Arts here,
yeah,
here in the States. Like, she had just amazing gifts and talents and she threw it away. And she told, I remember specifically, she told her mom that she would walk through the hot coals of hell to be with this man, her first husband. And that's what she walked through. She walked through hell. And to see mom's life go full circle at the age of her, mid to late 60s, and to see her travel the country and pick up right where she left off when she, 50 years ago, and to see her touch so many lives and be a part of this ministry and see her journey and her own testimony. She is just, it's been phenomenal. It's been a great opportunity to not only get to travel with my mom, but to do this thing called ministry with her.
yeah. So, and then of course, a lot of people know the film is not always exactly like what happened, like you said with the doc and stuff. But the biggest part that people take away is the fact that you were dead for an hour, and the doctors basically said like he's done, and you didn't have a heartbeat, right? And
no, I was dead for over an hour, and she prayed. Yeah. I mean, man, that you can't make, Devon, there's a YouTube clip somewhere, I forget where it is, and it's really cool because Devon's worked on multiple faith-based films.
Yeah.
And he says, he's like, well, Devon, that girl fell to the tree. Okay, maybe we can explain that. Well, maybe the boy that saw heaven, maybe that just isn't real. These couple movies, one was she fell to the tree. Maybe you can explain that medically. Okay. One, he saw heaven, in a dream. I don't really buy that. But for me, the kid's alive. Yeah. Maybe there's something to that, a prayer, like the kid's alive.
Yeah.
And I really like that idea of what Devon was saying is he's like, you can completely naysay all these other ones. Not saying they're not real. I don't know. I'm not, I'm not God. I'm not them. But for me, it's like, and I really find that cool is it's because not only do we have God as our faith and we know that he did this, but we have the medical doctors, we have the medical personnel believing and can explain on record that this is a bona fide miracle.
And when I was researching you, I saw that you don't currently have any medical problems, correct?
No. So
the only reason the doctors still talk to you a lot out of research purposes to be like, how? Mm-hmm. So I find that very interesting.
There's no other case like mine. I mean, I'm not here to gloat about who I am. It's not me, but they've been searching for years for a case just similar to mine, and they can't find one. I mean, they just can't. They've been looking in other countries like Finland, Denmark, all those other ones. And there was one case, I believe she was skiing and she had a skiing accident and her head was only submerged and she was only 80% healed. Whereas my whole body was submerged. I was 100% healed. They're just looking for, examples and research on it, and they just can't find any.
So do you have memories of like glimpses of like a light or any sort of afterlife or?
So we believe, to answer your question, I didn't see heaven. I didn't see the Golden Gates. I don't have any memories of the afterlife. We believe this for 3 reasons. The first reason is they prayed that I wouldn't remember anything. It was really traumatic. I have scars still to this day. Like there's one on my hand from like one of the needles that will be with me for the rest of my life. I look at it daily, but I have scars. They prayed that I would remember anything just because of how traumatic it was.
Yeah.
The second reason is I wasn't saved. So I wasn't a Christian. I was going through a lot in my middle school years. And when the accident happened, I had not dedicated my life to the Lord. So to say that I would have seen heaven would have meant that I was just, a bona fide Christian, and I just wasn't. I was running in the opposite way. The third reason is the story. If I would have seen heaven, we've already had movies like those before. We've already had movies of people that have seen heaven or claim that they've seen heaven, and they're just doing their own thing. This story is so much more than just about John Smith seeing heaven. This story is about, okay, God really trickling down and touching, not only the firefighters and the paramedics, but touching St. Louis as a whole, to touching the country, to touching the world. The story is so much more than just about me and my family. It's about how everybody experiences their own breakthrough through this story, how their own experience. And we've really seen that because, again, if I would have seen heaven, man, it would have been a whole nother type of movie. It wouldn't have been, the story that we have today, to where you really see and break through how it affected everybody that was touching the story.
So it's safe to say that your faith changed a bit after this experience.
Not right away. It took me about, 8th grade, about 2 years for me to finally get in line with everything I needed to be in line with.
Well, it is traumatic, so it might take a bit for something to click. And so what would you say to people that are like kind of in between, agnostic, or they're looking to find God and they don't know what direction to go into? And actually, if you don't mind me asking, what denomination of Christian are you?
So I'm Assemblies of God. The church that we were filming at is our version of Assemblies of God, if you can remember what that church was. So their views are the same as ours down here in the States. It's a little bit different. I know Pastor Jason was kind of telling me about it. I don't remember all the nitty-gritty. We just believe in the Holy Spirit. We believe in the gifts of the Spirit. We believe, God came, saved us, all that good stuff. What do I say to people that are looking for something? Me personally, without going on a complete rant, short story is I was studying to become a pastor. I left that college because I didn't agree with how things were ran up there. Okay. I believe right now Christians and the church are doing a bad job of reaching people that aren't saved. I'm just going to be honest with you. I believe that we're too caught up in the church, and we're not caught up enough in ministry. And that's two different things. As we're so caught up in the four walls of the church and what looks good, and when we bring people in, we offend them, and then they just walk out the door, and we don't get out of the church to go reach them. That is my problem, personally. Okay. So to answer your question, to someone that's looking for faith, is the first thing is going to be the Bible. The Bible's an amazing story. I mean, it really is. It's got so many cool different things in it, talking, just really intense stories. I mean, if you think the Bible is boring, then you haven't read the right chapters, man. Because, there's a lot of stuff there that, you can be learning for years and years and years. Historians are still trying to learn everything that's in the Bible. The second thing I'd say is I want you to get plugged into a church. But more importantly, there's two things that I always recommend to people right now is, one, find an accountability partner. Find an accountability partner that has that faith and that can walk you through this thing called life. The second thing is find a father figure. Accountability partner could be someone the same age. A father figure is someone that's a little bit older than you, that has experience in this thing called life, because life's crazy, man. There's things, I'm 21, I haven't figured out, but I've got people that are older than me that are helping me walk through this thing as I walked in my journey through faith as a father, as a husband, all these different things. Those are the main two things that I always recommend, and then get plugged into a church, because I would rather, right now in this day and age, I want you to have a firm foundation on your faith. And have someone to walk around with you. And then I want you to go to church, because the church, especially here in Missouri, and I'm speaking from my own personal testimonies, this isn't every church in the state. In the USA, I've met hundreds of amazing good pastors, but for here in Missouri, we're doing too good of a job of offending people, and we're not loving people. And so that's why I always recommend finding someone that'll love you through all the nitty and gritty, and then walking with them in those four walls, and, just walking through this thing called life. Because, man, I've ran away from the Lord for 5 years, and it was hell. But the moment I gave my life up to him, it isn't sunshine and rainbows. I'm not going to lie to you. There ain't nothing about this being sunshine and rainbows. There's been hard times to where I just don't know what God's planning to do. But when I gave my life up to the Lord and I was just like, all right, God, whatever you have for me, I'll do, and I'll do it to the best of my abilities. I'm not saying my life is perfect, but I'm saying that God has been with me every step of the way, for sure.
Okay. How did you and your wife meet?
High school.
Oh, cool. High school sweetheart.
Yeah, we met our freshman year. Our 8th grade year, we started dating our freshman year. We went to college for a year together, and then we left college, came home, got engaged, got married, and now we're here.
Awesome. Do you ever, what is it called? Like crossover? I see it a bit in Canada where leaders of other faiths, like I went to a Passover and then there was a lot of different Christians and there was like Buddhist people there at this Passover. So does your church ever mix with other faiths, or like do you?
We don't ever celebrate what they believe in, but we do have people of other, faiths come into our church. Whether we agree or don't agree with what they believe. I mean, Catholicism, does that ring a bell?
Yeah, well, I know what that is. I know there's lots of different denominations, and I'm in Montreal, where it's actually a very huge Catholic presence.
Exactly. So Catholicism is completely different than Assemblies of God.
Yeah.
But we still, we welcome all Catholic. We welcome Catholics, Protestants, Baptists, all of it.
Yeah.
I never want to get on, anywhere and say that I don't love someone because of what they believe.
Yeah.
Because the one question we got up and this is just like the most generic. I mean, you've probably heard this before. My mom received this. My mom received this question up in Winnipeg. She goes, when we were doing the secular news media, a lot of people want to come at Christians and be like, well, what do you think of gays? First question, what do you think of gays?
Can I tell you a theory that a buddy of mine said, and this is a little off kilter and off your story, and I might just cut this out, but let's sorry if this offends you or something, but someone said at a time that the Bible was teaching people how to live. So maybe something could have been misinterpreted, as in, let's say we're living in a time where 25 is an old age and rate of mortality is very high and there is a need to populate. So in a place like that, in a time like that, yeah, it doesn't really make sense to lie with another man. You need to get busy, find a wife, and go to the next generation. That's a theory I've heard, and where it's common theme amongst most religions. And I thought that makes sense because that's in a far back time where it's like, no, like, sorry, you can't do this. You need to have a wife, a man and a woman, to procreate. And whether people think it's right or wrong, it's like now we're at a different point. We don't have a higher rate of mortality. We're actually kind of getting overpopulated, depending who you ask. So I always thought that it was a friend from Winnipeg that said that. I know. Trust me, I know. Let's not avoid the elephant in the room. Really, all religions are attacked.
No, I mean, it is a crazy time because we just got out of, especially here in the States, we got over a pandemic. We got over an election war. We got over, it's just one thing after the other. And
yeah,
I don't think we're doing a great job on it personally. I mean, I'm not. I'm 21 and I'm a kid still. So it's like, obviously my opinion doesn't, matter a whole too much, but just the things that I've seen and the pastors that I talk to and my spiritual leaders and my spiritual, people that I depend on and I trust, I just feel like there's a lot of wrong, a lot of wrongs in the world. But to go back to it is my mom, what do we do in that situation?
Yeah. When
someone doesn't believe or agree with our views, if someone is, another sexuality, or someone XYZ, whatever it could be.
So I always thought it's like, I think when I go through my rebellious stages when I was younger, I did hate religion, like as a teenager, right? But as much as I go in and out of believing and not believing, but I always think, like, even if it all is made up and it all is fake, what is so bad about groups of people getting together and saying, hey, let's be better people? As much as people knock Christians or knock Islam or knock Jews or all the other types and say it's wacky, it's hocus pocus, it's like, well, no, it's a community of people getting together and saying, let's be better. And
It's funny that you say that because the church is a body of people.
Yeah.
The church isn't four walls. I mean, the church is, it's not, it shouldn't, I mean, a church, quote unquote, is the four walls of the church, but the church is a body of people. And it's funny that you say that, is it's like, we're living in a time and age, because I remember I was doing a book in college, and it was really, I forget what book it was, but it was stating how 20 years ago, everyone had a faith. You know what I mean? Like, you went to church, you knew of God. Like, you maybe weren't in it, but you knew of it 20 years ago. 20 years ago, you said a prayer. You maybe not didn't go to church every 5 days, but it was a norm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you knew of a higher being. Now, I believe it was the books is saying, studies show that we're ignoring it. We're getting out of it. Like, we're not believing in a higher being or a God. Like you saying, is we're trying to just be overall good people. And that is the main thing, is like you just said, is the what I believe, and I think a lot of pastors would agree with me, is the church and our relationship with the higher being. In my case, in my religion, it's, Christ. We like to say that it's not a religion, it's relationship.
Okay.
Because think about it. If I'm in a religion, I'm taking something and I'm just crossing off all the checklists. Did I read my Bible long enough? Did I tithe 10%? Do I have the spiritual gifts? Do I go to church every Sunday? Do I celebrate Easter? But if I have a relationship, I'm not perfect, right? If I have a friend, man, I might screw up, but does that mean our relationship's completely severed? No. God died on the cross 1,000 years ago for us, so that we can have a relationship with him. It's not going to be perfect. Like, I'm not a perfect guy. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie. I have a potty mouth. I'm not a perfect guy. I love to have fun, but it's the relationship with Christ. And the one thing that I think we're getting away from is we're abusing that relationship. It's funny I bring this up. I don't know if you've been following it, but the Johnny Depp trials, down here in the States with his ex-wife Amber Heard. It's a big thing here in the States, but
it's a big thing everywhere. Trust me, my friend.
Okay, yeah. So I've been following it, but one of my like Captain Jack Sparrow. Like, I don't remember which movie it was. I don't remember which Pirates of the Caribbean, but I remember that he was talking to the priest, and he was saying something like, "How do I
Captain Jack, right?
Get Captain Jack?" He was saying, "How do I get to go where all the goody goodies go?" And the priest, I think it was Catholicism, but he goes, "You can repent. You can rededicate your life to the Lord." And Captain Jack goes, "I was meaning more of an as needed basis."
Oh, like last.
So, yeah. So like, it's like, oh, I'm coming to the end of my life. Please save me, heaven, voila.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it defeats the purpose of relationship. And that's where I think a lot of people are going, is like you said, is we're getting away from the church, and we're just wanting to build good relationships and be good people. Like, you might donate $10 to charity, or you're probably not a bad guy to where you don't open, the door for an old lady. But we're and that's where I think the world's going, is the world's becoming a bad place. Like, there's a lot going on, but people are still good at heart. And if people are still good at heart, that means one thing, in my opinion. If people are still good at heart, that means the church is doing a terrible job at reaching those people. And we've, as the church, have abused the interpretation of what it means to have a relationship with Christ. And again, we're going back to the checklist. Sorry for my rant, but that's really where I've been kind of playing my mind and really been praying about, is it's like you're saying, the body of Christ, is people. It's together. It'd be like me meeting in your living room with 5 others. We're just talking about the word. We're just opening up the scripture. We're talking about a debate, a hard debate, an easy debate. We could talk about, like you said, the homosexuality until our eyes are blue in the face.
Yeah.
But that is the church. It's a relationship with one another. And that's what God is seeking with us, is he's just saying, hey, are you going to be willing to listen to me? Are you going to be willing just to trust me? I'm not asking you to cross off a checklist. All I'm asking you is you to surrender your life. And I promise you, I'm going to lead you where I need you in your life, and I'm going to have the best interest for you. It's not going to be perfect, because the world's fallen and we're all sinners. And the enemy, I promise you, is going to want to knock you and rattle you. But if you seek me, watch where I'll take you. That's my favorite verse in the whole Bible, is, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope in a future." And if you seek my face, you will find me. If you will seek my face, all we got to do is seek him. And we're not seeking him. And yes, I believe part of it's on the human. But I really believe that the church is not getting out enough and saying, okay, these people that aren't following the Lord, these people that are unsaved, these people that are rioting, these people that have different views, these people that have different sexualities, these people, we're not going, hey, I love you. I don't care what you're a murderer. Like, I care, but I love you. God loves you. You're homosexual. I love you. It's not my job to judge you. You could have completely different views than you. Like, I could be like, some of your views, I could be like, bro, like, really? But that's not my place, man. My view is to be your brother. My view is to love you. And my view is to walk with you. See, if you ever get to know me, I'm going to listen for like the first 2 times we ever meet. I won't say a word. I'll build your trust. I want to build a relationship. And then we can discuss the nitty and gritty. But that's where I really believe we're kind of just getting off this track of we're not creating that relationship. You know, we're not spending that time with people that really just need someone to talk to.
No, I you can rant all you want. That's what the whole point of this is, John.
Mm-hmm.
No, well, it's like I read a lot of self-help books, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it, they like some of them reluctantly bring in religious things. I was reading The War of Art, and it was a book about productivity, and it says like there are angels in this world, there are positive and negative force. And the guy, he was saying, he's trying to be vague because he knows he's going to offend his atheist readers, but he said there is something there where if you put something into the universe, it comes out. And people say it in a scientific way, like, oh, it's your brain waves, it's your this, but it can be all connected. And I heard someone's theory. Sorry for all the wacky theories, John, but
You're good.
it was like they believe because in the Bible it says something like God is everywhere, God cannot be created nor destroyed, or something like that. Does it say that, or is my friend just making this up?
The Bible does state that, yeah.
But then what else can't be created nor destroyed? Energy. So I had a friend saying it's like maybe God is just energy, and he is everywhere because there's energy in everything. And even matter is trapped energy. So then that's something that's in science and in the Bible. Sorry, tangent, but there's a lot of things, like even just the practice of praying, that's meditative. So whether you're a believer or not, saying things you're grateful for and putting something out into the universe and saying, like when you pray, well, how do you pray?
You know, just dear Lord, what do you got going on? It's quiet time. And it's funny that you say that when you say, speaking positivity in the air, there's a verse that states that, mom would be so mad at me. Proverbs 18:21, the tongue is life and death.
Yeah.
And it's true. You speak in life, positive. You speak death, what do you think is going to happen?
Negativity. And people of all sorts of faiths believe that. So there has to be something there. And I know Muslims, they pray, I think 3 times a day. And like that's whether you're a believer or not, that's meditative, and that's very good for you to stop and take account and say what you're grateful for and wish for things. And it's the quiet time. And Lent, do you practice Lent? Something like that. Ramadan, Passover, Lent, it's all giving up something to be closer to God, or being extra careful to not do certain things. So it's keeping yourself in check. So that's why I'm a big fan of Jordan Peterson, because it's something he said about religion. I don't know if you are, but he said this because religion gets attacked. And he said, okay, well, you can think of a farm tractor, and you could say it pollutes, it damages things, it's noisy. But then the farm tractor has also solved a lot of hunger, because the farm tractor can produce much more than armies of men could, or armies of men and women working in the field. It produces such more, and it uses energy way more efficient to help feed more people. So yeah, there's some negatives, but there's a lot more positives. Is that so did you still keep in contact with that priest, or? that?
I keep in contact with a lot of leaders, man. I definitely want to research, not completely switching gears, but I'm definitely going to research that. I like that. Um,
Jordan
but
Peterson said?
yeah, so I'm gonna have you send me that info after we're done here. But I keep in contact with a lot of people. The pastor that the pastor that was with me the whole time, Pastor Jason, he's my manager. He's my best friend. I love him to death. I'd do anything in the world for him and his family. Pastor Samuel Rodriguez, who is an executive producer.
I think we're
Yes, he was.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was there. Pastor Samuel Rodriguez, he's a dear friend of mine. Devon Franklin, obviously. Leaders across the country and the states, from the East Coast to the West Coast. I keep in contact with them for sure.
Awesome. So, and like going back to religion, and I definitely, weirdly enough, I like something that Justin Bieber said about Christianity. And I think it's also something that maybe something you were saying, where he doesn't really, he's a lot different than you, and I know this, where he doesn't like follow a certain denomination, but he looks at how Christ was, and he wants to be like, he uses Christ as a role model, caring, giving to the poor. And so I always say that to people that are against religion. I said, yeah, but like, look at their figureheads, look at Christ. Like, he wasn't a bad guy. Why not be more like Christ? Or why not ask what would Jesus do?
My favorite, what year was I? I was a junior in high school, and I remember that my teacher, Mr. Dillon, I love this man. He is the most country, like, hick type dude that will have a gun, and like, he's just like the most country guy you ever think of in the world. Old school to the old school, but I love this dude. And he made us, kind of write down what we believed on certain topics, like abortion, like the Holocaust, like just real tough topics that there really wasn't a right or answer row. He called it the Kobayashi Maru. I don't know if you're a Star Trek fan, but he was setting us up to fail pretty much. Like, he wasn't, giving us really any room to succeed. And he looked at the class and he goes, y'all fail. And I was like, okay. But I remember what he said, and it was great. It's funny that you say that with Justin Bieber, and I love this because, hold on, can I let my dog in, and then I'll completely get back to this?
Here.
Alrighty.
Yeah, no problem.
But going back to that, my favorite thing he said is he looked at the whole class and he stood in the front and he goes, man is dumb. That's the lesson today, is man is dumb. And I was like, what does that mean? And he goes, it's exactly what you said. Man is dumb. And I was like, what is that? Like, what is that? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just 3 words. But he goes, we're going to get to heaven, and God is going to look at us and go, y'all are just dumb. Because I'm not saying anything is right or wrong, but it's like, we have so many views, so many. And God's just going, you were wrong. There's things about your denomination that were wrong. There's things about your denomination that are probably wrong. There's things that you believe that you're just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, like just things that are just not right. And he's going to look at us and he goes, here's the right way, my children. And he's going to sit us down and just tell us what he meant. Because I believe that, and this is what my teacher said, is it all goes back to us being fallen. When, Eve and Adam, they took the fruit of good and evil, everything changed. And so all these views happen. So which one really is the right one? Is Catholicism, is Protestant, is Baptist, is Assemblies of God, is XYZ. And just like you said, being Christ-like is our job. Like Justin Bieber said, we're just supposed to be more like him. We're supposed to have that, going back to it, we're supposed to have that relationship and just try and, mirror Christ in our actions, loving each other, caring about each other. Like I said, no matter what your view is, just loving them. And I think my manager, Jason, he actually got to meet Justin Bieber, but he was just saying is he pours himself out into worship in the Holy Spirit when he's not in front of a million cameras. It's just him and God. Like, he was doing it backstage. Like, he was just praying to him, like in his own space. And then he'd go out and he'd love people. But I find that so interesting because Here it is, Justin Bieber, probably one of the most popular singers and artists to go down in history. He's more focused about his relationship in private than he was going out and meeting people. And just like you said, just being that Christ-like person, being that person that you can look at and go, wow, he's not only a good person, but he's trying to be more Christ-like, and you can see Christ through him.
Well, it's like, maybe, I don't know if you're getting at, maybe he hid it a bit, but people in Hollywood hide it because look at what happened to you and your mom. People said, well, what do you think about gays? What do you think about gays? And it's like, what about all the good stuff that you could agree with? And I know that conservatives or Christians in Hollywood are very criticized. And this, we're getting into a bit of a discussion, but don't you think through conversation, it's a great way to find a bit of the way? Like, do you talk with Catholics or other denominations a lot and kind of compare notes and you're like, maybe they're right? And see, that's my big belief is I think more things should be discussed. And even the harder subjects, but that's the thing. People get offended, people get, and things are not allowed to be talked about. And I always use this example. People right now are so dumb with money. Everyone I know has a bit of consumer debt. And it's because, we don't talk about money. We don't talk about money. It's so taboo. And there's certain subjects I've seen people open up, like addictions, modern addictions, porn addictions, video game addictions, and things that people would rather say they have a different type of addiction than. And some of these things just need to be brought to light, even though they're not favorable to talk about, because how do you find solutions for people?
Here's my, and I love it. I completely agree with you. There's not one thing you said there that I don't agree with. I think you're completely right. You would love my wife. Like my wife loves that topic of different denominations, of different ways of thinking, of Catholics, of, what does this believe? Why? Going deeper, just like you said. And the main thing that kind of just strikes me with what you said is I also agree with is the problem with the church is there's too much of either yes or no. Don't watch porn. Don't do drugs. Don't spend your money on dumb stuff. There's no explanation on here's why you don't watch porn. Yeah. Here's why you don't spend that money. Here's why you don't drink this much alcohol. Here's the effects of the damage it's going to cause you in the future. There's none of that. It's just, man, if you do this, you're going to hell. If you do that, you're going to hell.
Yeah, so people learn to just be like, okay, it can't be that bad, and then they go wild, and then they watch porn a couple times, and they're like, see, nothing happened, and it's like, I actually just finished reading or listening to a book on porn addiction, and it's just like, I do believe there must be forces for good and evil in this world, and I think the evil forces are helping create these things and creating this energy where, like, I've heard horror stories of relationships falling apart and people just getting more and more, and people think like, oh, you can't get addicted to porn. It's like, no. Back in the days when there was like magazines and stuff, that's different. Now it's at the point where it's like compilated videos and it's high speed and everyone's carrying around a machine that has porn on it or can have porn on it in 3 seconds. It's not the days where you have to go to the store and be embarrassed. It's like things are too, and even Amazon. I'm having a bit of a problem because in my head, I'm like, I'm solving a problem. So I just like when I work in film still. So I'm there 16 hours a day. So, I need this and I buy it. And then it's like, I don't even remember. Sometimes I get packages coming to my door and I don't even remember. So life is a lot more addicting now and it's meant to be that way.
Mm-hmm. We're in such a different age. I mean, and this is what I tell when I speak to youth. This is the worst thing that was ever created because it's just what you said. It's just what you said. Porn, drugs, alcohol, sex, all of it.
Gambling's on there too.
Gambling, like everything that is wrong with the world, those evil spirits, those evil temptations, those evil desires are right here. And the worst thing about it is, for the most part, 90% of them are free. I mean, if not all of them are free. And I mean, it's so sad to see what we've came before. And again, going back to my flaws, what I think's wrong is we can use churches and people can use social media so much, but at some point we've got to go against the current. We've got to go against the grain. Yeah. Find ways to reach people that maybe isn't on the phone. Maybe people struggle just being addicted to their phone.
Here's
How
the thing.
Are we going to reach people?
I cut most of my social media and anything I do have, it's not on my phone, and the phone's still addicting. It is just like, you know what? I think video games can be fun. I think something like the Switch, where you play with your partner for 10 minutes and you play like Mario Kart or you play tennis and you stop in 10 minutes, that's fine. That's fun. The stuff like Grand Theft Auto and Assassin's Creed, where you could play it for 8 hours and you're in a different world, that's escapism. And I think pain's there for a reason, and we're supposed to be here and experiencing boredom, because when you're bored, what do? You learn the guitar, you learn something, you do something, you clean. We have all these ways to not be bored, and I think being bored is a very important thing. And I agree with that verse. I'm gonna say it wrong. Sorry, I'm not good on my verses. I'm not really a Christian, but idle hands are the devil's workshop. And I believe a lot of problems in my life have happened, like where I just wasn't doing much with my life and I was on my phone too much, and all of a sudden you're fighting with your girlfriend over nothing, and like it's just when you're not busy, problems happen. And speaking of how, sorry,
it's hard. It's just what you're saying is it is we're seeing, and this is the other part of the word, is we're seeing one of my favorite verses again. And again, please, dude, like I said, it's like, just do the research yourself, but what is done in darkness will be revealed in light.
What does that mean to you?
What is done in darkness is revealed in light. What it means to me is what you do wrong, God's going to bring full light on it. And we're seeing that in the world. Jeffrey Epstein.
Harvey Weinstein. Yeah.
Exactly. Like just these people, I mean, think about it. And think about all the tensions that caused and how many people it's affecting. What is done in darkness will be revealed in light. And that's just a celebrity, example. Think about husbands that are committing adultery, wives that are committing adultery.
Yeah.
Things that are going on in their lives that they're hiding from family. And then eventually they're like, whoa, it's here. Like, you're really, what is done in darkness will be revealed in light. And it's exactly what you said.
No, to me, it just blows my mind. Because even non-believers will attack the Bible for not being real, but the order that God created the earth in the Bible, it's been proven scientifically. Like, first it was the rock, then it was this. And so yeah, I wish I actually researched this and printed out a list, because another friend pointed it out to me. It's like everything has scientifically, like, it's the order in which God did it, and man did come last compared to everything else. And I'm getting a little off kilter here because I don't really have the facts to back me up on this one, so maybe I'll avoid this. But I'm so intrigued by, and they've studied it, like Alcoholics Anonymous, people who don't do the part of giving themselves up to God are way more likely to fall off the wagon and start drinking again than the people who do give themselves to God.
Yeah.
Do you have anything that you want to talk about that you haven't been able to talk about in other interviews?
I wish I remembered this question. I've gotten the stereotypical questions. I mean, we covered some of them, but man, it's, the main thing is this is, what I like is and again, what I don't ever want anyone to think, what I don't want anyone to ever think about me is that I'm not going to be someone that's not genuine.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. I don't ever want to be, and that's my other thing is I just want people to know that I'm never going to be too big for my own britches. If that makes sense. My family and I, we want to be the most genuine people. Like I said, I didn't have your number saved, but it was like catching up with an old friend as soon as we figured out who each other were again.
I've changed when I moved, because I moved from Manitoba to Quebec, so I did change my number to kind of fit in more here and seem. Quebec is really different than the rest of Canada, so I was trying to blend more in with the Francophone and French society and have a French area code kind of thing for work purposes to not seem like that much. I'm still a huge outsider, but to seem less like an outsider, I did change my number. But no, I do remember meeting you, and I remember
now when you said your name, it clicked. Like it really did. It was like boom. I was like, okay, yes, now that all clicks. So, but it's just going back to that is it's not so much just a discussion, but it's like I'm very blessed to have such a great group of friends. I don't know if you watched the Fast and Furious series up there. My favorite movies are the Fast and Furious series, and why it's my favorite series is it's just their view on family. Like every year we start when my wife and I bought this house, we wanted this place to be a place of community and fellowship.
Yeah.
We wanted this to be a safe place for people whose families maybe aren't the best. So we have a barbecue every year. Ours is actually coming up to 14th here. I wish you were in the States. I wish you would definitely be invited.
Yeah.
But it's just the one thing that I like to tell my people is, and I love this quote from the movie is money comes and goes, but the most important thing is the people in this room, right here, right now. And I think that's so important for me in my life and my family is we remember that God has brought us this far and he has not left us and he's going to continue to provide for us. We always stand by that. But we also realize the importance of God bringing people in our lives and God taking people out of our lives. And that is just so important to me because I've seen friends go, but I've also seen the benefits of those friends going. And so for me, it's just remembering where I came from. Like I said, staying humble and staying hungry, staying humble and just realizing that I love my life. I love being a dad. I love being a husband. I love just living in my little house and, working and traveling and getting to do cool things. I may not be on that high mainstream level that I once was, SUVs and private jets, but that, like I said, that comes and goes. Most important thing is how I can, have conversations like this, just fellowship.
Well, I'm sure your life is more important than the SUVs, and you obviously agree, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Something I do want to mention. It's just to anyone still like watching this far. Someone in my life who was really big on faith. His name was Derek Headley. He actually worked on that film, and I just want to give him a shout out because he did pass away last year, October 29th. And he did push me a lot towards looking into religion. So I want to thank him for that. Thanks, Derek, and thanks to Derek's family. Sorry to go off kilter. I was like, it was a coincidence too, because he also worked on Breakthrough as a grip. He was the lead grip, or as some people say, the third grip. Yeah.
That's awesome. And those are the people, I have people like that in my life. I mean, my son is named after one of my spiritual leaders. His name was Wayne Hogue, passed away 2 years ago. And then my uncle Don, he just passed away last month. Just those people that kind of give you that little nudge, to kind of do your own research, to give you your own, like, here, maybe look into this. Maybe this will help you a little bit. And then you're just kind of like, you look back on it and you're like, man, I thought that was stupid, but it has helped me so far, so much.
I feel that you're even looking for things yourself, like you discover more about yourself. And
100%.
That's what hurt me about the pandemic. And I was not a guy that ever went to church. And I'm actually looking into just going to a church or some sort of group to find community. But I think there was a pastor in Manitoba. He kept getting arrested actually during the pandemic for having things outside and people were in their cars and spread out. And the fact that OnlyFans and fast food and marijuana stores are still open and alcohol stores are still open, but we couldn't go to the gym or go to church or meet in parks sometimes. Mm-hmm. And that's what really scared me. And it's like from a spiritual way and a mental health way is people. Do you have anything you want to plug or shout out? You were talking about a book of your others.
Just my mom's book, Breakthrough, same title as the movie. It does a great job of kind of going more into depth of what happened in the actual story. My pastor, Jason Noble, he wrote a book called Breakthrough to Your Miracle, just kind of the teaching moments and what we learned and what my mom and pastor learned throughout this whole process of the movie and book. Past that, there's not a whole lot. The movie is available to be rent on Amazon. I'm never going to plug anything that I don't feel like will benefit you, and my family and I don't really get anything off the book. It's just for your own good and your own enjoyment. But again, man, it is, whatever anybody needs from me. I'm on Instagram and all the social platforms. Most common generic name in the world, John A. Smith is my name. 25. I don't know what my parents were thinking.
No, it's funny because I was telling people, I got like a guy named John Smith, and they're like, that's not real. I'm like, no, I swear, no, I thought the same thing too when I met him. I'm like, hey, no, tell me your real name, because I wasn't there for the whole shooting. When I met you, I didn't know that the movie was about, like, I just came in like halfway into shooting to set up lights for like a second unit publicity thing. I think you were standing by the stairs. I was like, "Oh, hey man, how's it going? How's your day?" I had the same questions I ask everyone. And you said your name's John Smith. I was like, okay, like smart guy, like, but so
That's how it goes, man.
Yeah.
Every day.
Anyways, my friend, do you have anything else you'd want to say?
No, I mean, it's been, like I said, it's been an honor to be on your show. Again, if you need anything, you just let me know. Shoot me a text. We can chat on different topics. We can do whatever you want. You just let me know. But it's been an honor and good to reconnect with you. Like I said, you have all my information, so I'm more than willing to discuss whatever you need or walk with you with this crappy thing called life.
Oh, merci, my friend. So we actually did an hour. So look at that. Thank you very much. I'll send you a link, post it. And then I have a second channel where I'll chop up some segments and highlights too. So,
Yeah, whatever you need, you just let me know.
okay. Thank you, John, so much. Have a great
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Yep.
So,
Have a good night.
you too. Bye. Sorry, this is awkward. I don't know how to. Okay.